In with John Deal, Jihad Garrison, the Riverfront Times, and Jane Duker. Jane, your governor this weekend floated an idea of toll roads for Highway 70. The voters voted down a sales tax. They voted down a gas tax. What about toll roads?
Well, I think it's good. We need to have this discussion, and he directed MoDOT to go ahead and prepare a report on what that would sort of look like. And I think that people were obviously the voters were very uncomfortable with the regressive sales tax to fund our roads. A lot of people, most everyone agrees, we have a transportation problem. I mean, we do. And so we've been kicking the can for over a decade. So now this is sort of the next level of discussion. So I think I think a lot of people think that a certain amount of toll roads would be a good idea. I think one of the things that needs to be sort of discussed is, can we package together various items? Nobody wants a full-blown regressive sales tax, but can there be some? Can we do some gas tax? Can we do some toll roads? A mix of things that will get us to a point where we're able to maintain and look at a better transportation system. We don't have a transportation plan, and we cannot get into a new economy and increase our economy until we have a better transportation system and maintain the one that's already falling apart. So we have a big problem, and
John,
the longer we do it, the more expensive it's going to be.
You drive Highway 70 to Jefferson City every day?
Not every day.
Oh, well, you're
once a week.
Very, very diligent in driving back and forth. You know Highway 70 better than anybody. What do you think of toll roads?
Well, I think toll roads are something that we can discuss. I think this letter the governor sent out is curious. He sends out a letter on December 10th saying, we have a transportation funding crisis, and please give me a comprehensive plan of our needs, money available, whatnot, and give it to me by December 31st. So this is either going to be the fastest government study in the history of government.
Well, no, it was done for the tax.
Then why not just get out and say what you want to do, okay? I mean, I think it's pretty clear the governor has a plan that he wants to see accomplished. So rather than go through this whole rigmarole that I've set up a process to justify what it is I want to do, just get out there with what your plan is, and let's start discussing it instead of doing it 3 days before legislative session starts and trying to pull things together. But I think before anything, I think you're going to see two really interesting things here, and that's going to be whether or not the governor takes the position that he can do this on his own without action by the General Assembly, or whether or not he thinks there's going to be action required by the General Assembly. And there's different schools.
You mean just do the toll?
To do the toll. And there's
you're
going
right.
to be
That's a
different
long-standing debate
of thought on that. It's going to be interesting to see what approach the governor takes. I think it would be wise to seek the input of the General Assembly. I'll leave it at that. The second part on it's going to be, too, is just, have we really looked at, are we spending the money we have now the right way? Now, there's a lot of money that's being spent, and government tends to do this. There's a lot of money that's being spent out of the road fund for general administration and bureaucracy cost. All the money in the road fund is not going to roads. It's going to things related to roads. And so I think that's something we can look at, too. If the roads are one of our top priorities, is there unrelated road expenses being paid out of the road fund that can be moved into the general revenue, and have those then compete with other lesser priority items rather than seeking more taxes.
That's a small amount.
But how much money? But are we talking enough to repave and redo Highway 70 across the state?
It's potentially a large pot of money. I'm not saying it's enough of that. I'm not saying that's the entire thing, but it's part of what the overall package could look like.
Well, it's definitely a factor that should be included.
I think that's something we need to look at first.
I'm actually in favor of these tolls. We just voted down a tax increase that would fund this via sales tax, and the Highway 70, Interstate 70 in between St. Louis and Kansas City, it is problematic. It needs an additional lane. It's way too congested, and I don't think toll roads are that much to ask. And it puts the burden on the people who travel the truckers, the people, the state reps going to Jefferson City. I mean, I think a use tax is fair. Certainly more fair than a sales tax, and that's what the voters voted in.
We had a caller yesterday call up and say the last proposal was the toll was going to be from Wentzville, just outside of St. Louis, to just outside of Kansas City. So the people who drive Highway 70 in the city aren't going to be part of the toll. And then he also said this. He said, fine,
That's
drive
daily commuting. That's different.
Well, they're still using the road.
I understand, but I think that's the theory on that.
Right, but they're still using the road. And then he said,
But you can adjust the price for that.
But look, first of all, let's back up. Nobody knows what the plan is. So that's kind of my point. You know what the plan is. Get it out there so you can start discussing it, because that's going to make a big difference. I think that's a valid point. The people in mid-Missouri use Highway 70 for a daily commute.
Right, and that I think there should maybe be an account. But that doesn't mean you can't. But it doesn't mean you can't accommodate it in price and other ways.
The other thing he said was, fine, I'll pay the toll on Highway 70, but some of my gas tax money is going to pay for 44 that I don't use.
Well, and that's the problem. If you start saying, "Oh, everything has to be a use tax," then nobody wants their tax money to go to something they don't agree with. Well, welcome to the universe. And so, but I also think that price. I mean, I was actually having some discussions with people where some people were saying, "Oh, I think it's going to be like $12 to $15 to get from Wentzville to Columbia."
And how do they know that?
And I think people are discussing it. I'm like, now if you get up in that range, people are going to revolt. There's no way you're going to pay.
I've never paid a toll that high.
I mean, that would be so. If they're looking to raise that kind of money through the toll to have to charge those prices, I think people will revolt. But I think there's a lower amount that people would take.
We got to get John Deal out of here. Last comment?
As far as using Interstate 70, I think, do we want here in St. Louis and the toll 70 up through North County? I mean, is traffic not bad enough in St. Louis? That
you want to put a toll up in North County, that's a whole other problem. But there you go. John Deal, we'll let you go. You have to get down. Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
We're back with a parting shot with Jane Duker and Chad Garrison. Back in a moment. Big